Hello beautiful souls, welcome back to another video on Starseed Academy. My name is Jenny. So today I want to talk with you about true love, twin flames, soulmates, and what's the deal with all of that. And the reason that I want to talk about it is I've had a few readings now come up where alternate ideas are being brought to the surface for the client about the ideas of twin flame and love and all of that. And it's been a lot of information coming through from the Pleiadians actually about this and how humans' concept of love, and especially in the spiritual community, tends to be a little bit biased or a little bit skewed. So we're going to dive into this topic, but before we do, please remember to give this video a thumbs up, share this video, and then make sure that you're subscribed to the channel for new videos every Sunday, Monday, Wednesday. So I'm sure that you have heard the terms soulmate, twin flame. I've even done a video on them. It's older now, but it was what was I believed to be true at the time, and our understanding, our information is always increasing, which is a beautiful thing. As a soul myself who is always growing, that is my priority, my soul growth. So I'm always going to be expanding and evolving in my beliefs. So it's really good to be open-minded like that and make sure that you're not getting stuck on any kind of rigid ideas or beliefs, because we have to understand that as we grow, our perception evolves. So just be really open to that. So I think that when this information started coming through in readings, and this, like I said, it was coming through from different Pleiadian guides for clients for either messages about their own love life, their relationships, or something that happened in their past life to do with love. So because this was all coming through, this was a few months ago too, it really got me questioning my own beliefs. And I love when that happens. When something comes through that rings true for me, yet it doesn't really fit in with any of my current belief structures, it has me going within and thinking about, wait a minute, what do I believe? And that gives me a belief structure and a belief system that is always evolving, which is why religion has never worked for me, because it's too rigid and it doesn't evolve with me and it doesn't grow with me. So essentially the idea that's been coming through from the Pleiadians about soulmates and twin flames. So we'll start with those two. So for me, what I do believe is that we have many soulmates, and they are always a part of our soul group, like our soul family, our group that we incarnate with over and over again. This can be a large group, but it's generally souls that are in alignment with where we're at, resonate with our energy, kind of at the same level of growth, or if not at the same level of growth, then have ties with us. We're entangled with them due to past or parallel lifetimes where shit went down and it hasn't been resolved yet. And so we're working on resolving those karmic ties. So if you have someone in your soul group, you can look at the people that are in this incarnation on earth that are really close to you. Those are members of your soul group. So your parents, your siblings, your closest friends, and relationships. And then people that have made a real impact on you, whether that be a favorite teacher or a therapist or someone who's really helped you, a role model of some sort. And then definitely any serious relationships or long-term relationships that are lasting, an amount of time, or where you're feeling they may not last a long amount of time. It might be a quick relationship, but you felt so much in that if there was love involved, right? So all of those beings, all of those souls are a part of your soul group. So these are people that you know very well, people that made soul contracts with you. And for more on soul contracts, there is a video that is really good, really in-depth about them. And it talks a lot about this kind of stuff too. And that video is called Soul Contracts and Ties. So it talks a lot about you planning your lifetime here and the people that you were going to come into contact with or come across. So check that video out for more. But essentially your soul group, and you made all of these contracts together, all of these decisions to work through stuff together, different lessons, to probably resolve a lot of past life stuff, or to grow together. Like it could go either way, depending on what kind of member of your soul group it is. If it's that entangled soul entanglement with the energy and the karmic energy, or if it's someone that's just really aligned with you and you're going to grow together. So soulmates can be either one of those kinds of people, but we do have multiple soulmates. So if you've had multiple serious relationships, they were likely all soulmates and all agreed, at this point in your life, I'll come across your path and we'll see what happens, right? Or at this point in your life, I'll come across, so it's like sequential. And you can see in your relationship history how much you've learned. Like think about from your first relationship to the one you're in now, or the last one that you had, how much you've learned, so much. And it can go, with someone having a bunch of shorter relationships or a couple of really long relationships. But the growth is generally the same. The experience is the same, because as a starseed, when the growth stops, we tend to leave the relationship. It tends to dissolve really quickly because we are always looking for more growth and more lessons, and we'll feel like it gets like stagnant and then it's time to move on. The idea of soulmates really isn't too complicated. It's just people that are in alignment with you or have karmic entanglement that are going to be relationships in the incarnation that you're in, and you're going to have real connection with them and learn a lot, right? So that's pretty much what the spiritual community teaches about soulmates. It does resonate for me. It makes sense. So the thing that I now have been questioning lately is the twin flame. I feel like different people have a different idea of what that is, and that's fine. That's how beliefs work. We all have our own perspective. But so from the information coming through from the Pleiadians, it really did have a lot to do with twin flames. And what they were saying is that it's actually a human term. Obviously, right? So think about that. So humans love to label things and put things in boxes to feel comfortable, to feel like they understand it. And that's like an identity, and those can be really tricky, because if you get caught up in an identity, then you're not allowing yourself to flow. It can become like egoic. It can become a trap. It can become a box. It can become a lot of things. So with the twin flame, it can make you stuck in a few ways if you're in the traditional belief of the twin flame in the spiritual community, which is that there's only one for each person, and that they are like the other half of you, or like the perfect reflection or mirror of your soul, and that they are perfectly aligned to you no matter when you run into them, like at any time. So here's a couple of issues with that. So if you're a soul who's always growing, constantly in growth and expansion, and each lifetime you change so much, like look at how much we've changed in this one lifetime. How could another soul always be in perfect alignment with you unless they were going through the exact same experiences, right? So it seems like that would be really rare. I'm not saying it's not possible, because everything and anything is possible for a soul to so for your twin flame to be aligned with you no matter what, at all times. They just somehow are always where you're at growth wise or vibration wise or frequency wise, but even though you're constantly growing and changing. So you can see why it's like, well, I can see now why the Pleiadians are saying that be careful, that's a human term, and that can really leave you feeling trapped or stuck. The reason why it would leave you feeling stuck is, what if you meet someone who is perfectly aligned in your life and it's a wonderful relationship, but then you outgrow them? Then what are you going to feel? You're going to feel like you have to stay because it's your twin flame. And this does leave people feeling trapped or stuck, or staying in relationships that aren't actually serving them anymore, to their detriment. And especially if you get it, if you start to believe someone is your twin flame and you get it really wrong, like what if they're a narcissist? What if they become abusive down the road? I mean, there are so many things that could come up, but if you believe that this was your one and only in the whole world, whole universe, twin flame, then you would stick by their side no matter what, right? So that can be pretty toxic. And I also have read a lot about how twin flames are very toxic And I think because of all of these codependency issues, that doesn't sound like true love to me. That sounds like lessons. That sounds like a soulmate. That sounds like working out karmic entanglement and all of that. Another way that you could become stuck is just being always on the search for your twin flame. And I know people that do this as well. They're just constantly searching for that. And then they're missing things that are meant for them because of their ideas of what a twin flame should be. They're missing out on an amazing match that maybe would actually be super beneficial, very aligned, help them be right for them at this point in their life. So, and then the third way is that if you believe that your twin flame is not incarnated with you, then you will kind of give up on the idea of experiencing true love. You'll just expect just soulmate after soulmate with lots of lessons and lots of connection, but never that true love feeling. And that means that you might settle too, because you're like, well, my twin flame I know isn't here. It's a member of my team or not incarnated on earth at this time. So I will this is good enough for now with like a relationship. And I think I definitely fell into that trap. And can you see where you might have fallen into one of those three? Where you thought you were with your twin flame, so you put up with way too much, or you were just on the search all the time and missing a lot of opportunities, or believe that they were not incarnated with you here, and so just settled for just something else. Like, none of that resonates at the frequency of true love, which exists. True love, I have heard from so many galactic beings from source, and I know it to be true. True love absolutely exists. And so, to be honest, I think that is where we should be placing our focus instead of on labeling an individual as your soulmate or your twin flame or getting caught in any of these different kinds of traps. Just really focus on the true love. I mean, the idea of being perfectly matched with the same soul, lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, growing at the same rate, like everything just being so aligned all the time, it is possible, and that's a really romantic notion. And who am I to say that that doesn't happen? It probably does happen. I think we need to switch our focus to true love and to just creating that with someone who is aligned and feeling that beautiful frequency, that healing love. It's healing true love. So, and you'll know it when you have it, because if you just focus on creating true love with an aligned partner, then that leaves you really free to live your life. And true love is possible. So another really powerful message that continues to come through in readings from all of these beautiful, like high vibrational, higher dimensional guides is that true love is possible for every single soul in every incarnation. There is never an incarnation where it's not possible. And the way to true love and to finding it is through pursuing your highest self. So when you are on the pathway to your highest self, which means doing the work, the shadow work, doing the healing, really embracing your earth mission, your soul purpose, and walking towards your highest timeline. Because our highest selves exist on our highest timeline. All of this is very real. It's all right there for you. It's just aligning to the energy and then taking the steps towards it. And everybody goes at their own pace. Some people are already on the path to their highest self at a very young age. And some people, it happens for them later on. It's not a competition. It doesn't matter. But as soon as you get on the path to that highest self version of you, to your highest timeline, your highest truth, and you'll know that feeling. You do know. You know what you're most passionate about in the whole world. And when you start pursuing that and then doing the healing that comes up as you pursue it, that's it. That's all it takes. So what is the most passionate, most connected that you feel? Is it when you're, is it music for you? Is it art? Is it teaching others? Is it writing? Is it dance? Everybody comes here with a gift. It's their passion. It's a thing, and you can have more than one. So don't get tripped up on that either. You can have a couple, and that's a beautiful, blessed life. You don't have to choose, but embrace those passions. You are passionate about them for a reason. They are leading you to your highest self. So you know what it is. You know what to do. It's usually the scariest possible thing that you can think of, because it takes a lot of courage and bravery to put yourself out there and to allow the world to see you as you truly are, and what you truly love is very vulnerable. It's a super vulnerable thing to do, because we worry that people will judge us or think this of us or that, but it just doesn't matter, because when you're on that path, you feel amazing and full of love. And look at all the things that are waiting for you on your highest timeline. True love is waiting for you. It is there. So when you start walking towards it, it will meet you. And it doesn't matter if it's a soulmate or a twin flame, or I don't know, like a certain kind of person or a certain kind of personality, or someone just like you or your complete opposite. Like, I don't think that's it. I think it's about you embracing self-love, healing, walking towards your highest self, committing to the soul growth, like making that your priority. And then it will just meet you along that path, because that's the path. That's the path of love and abundance and all the good things. When you are taking amazing care of yourself, growing in self-love. And then again, this really reminds me of our quantum romance video, where we were talking about attracting the partner that was most aligned to you. And we said in that video, become the person that you want to attract. This works for friendships. This works for relationships. You need to become what you're looking for. So if you become that person that you would want in a partner, what does that look like? So work on becoming that, which would generally be your highest self, right? And be leading you on that pathway. Because the thing about like soul group and soul family is that I do see it changing. I've seen it change for myself. Our teams change too. Have you noticed that? Like, you'll have certain guides for like a good period of time, and then they're not really there anymore. Maybe they're in the background, because we're changing. We're ever changing, ever growing. So our teams change, our guides change, not all of them, but some of them. And then our soul group changes. So you can outgrow people like your parents, your siblings, friends, whatever. You can outgrow them if you're really on that path that we were talking about of self-love, self-growth, just fully going for it, knowing what you're passionate about, knowing what you came here to do, and being in service. Like, being in the path of service is like one of the quickest ways to your highest timeline. When you decide to serve others, it's crazy. So when you are on that path, you will very quickly outgrow soulmates, parents, siblings. This happens for starseeds all the time. We talk about starseed loneliness, right? This is it, where you kind of feel alone because you've just outgrown everyone and everything. And that's a really scary place to be, but it's really courageous, really brave, and our mission here. Like, to attain as much growth as possible, heal as many lifetimes as possible, grow in love as much as possible, become the unconditional love frequency, become the all, like oneness. So if you experience true love, you are so blessed. And when you do, what makes it last is when those two people, the two partners, are in growth together. So like I said, it is possible, but it can be kind of rare to find, because if you're in constant growth, then you need a partner that's in constant growth in order to stay in alignment. And when they are not, if they grow to a certain point and stop, or like a lot different speed than you, like really slowly growing, and you're just growing, at a certain point there's too much dissonance and too much distance between the frequencies that you're both holding, and it breaks apart. You'll start getting those soul nudges that it's time to move on so that you can continue your growth. Because as starseeds, like I said, our soul growth is our priority. We come here, like, we crave it. We come here for it. I mean, Earth is the most incredible place for soul growth. So much growth can happen here. Once you heal your childhood, you're going to start having all of these lifetimes coming up for healing. Healing your childhood is the doorway to your other lifetimes that need healing, so start there. And then you'd be amazed at what comes through. And that is what most starseeds are craving, whether they maybe realize it or not. They are craving that healing, that growth, that expansion, and pursuing their passions. So I would say the best thing for you, and a lot of the advice that came through from the Pleiadians regarding love, was to pursue yourself, to pursue your own, instead of pursuing the idea of something like a twin flame or pursuing someone else, pursue yourself. Pursue your own self-growth, your own healing. Really dig into healing your childhood and then heal the lifetimes that come up afterwards, as well as being on the pathway to your highest self and timeline through pursuing things like your passions and service to others. And if you're doing all of that, then remain open to what shows up in your life. Because if you're doing all of those things, then you are in alignment. And what's being brought into your path is being brought for a reason. So regardless of what you think or thought it should or does look like, be open to it and just drop the expectations and the labels. And you're going to experience so much more love, true love, and freedom in this way, which is also something that we crave, is that freedom. True love exists, and it is possible for you. It's possible for two souls to find each other and actually stay in alignment in the same world, in the same incarnation, in the same lifetime. And it's when within this other person you recognize the divinity, which is the God essence or the source essence being reflected back to you. That is a very beautiful aspect of true love. And that is the soul perspective, which we've talked about a lot on this channel, where you view the other person as the soul within and everything that they are as that soul, instead of just this one person in this one incarnation. You're seeing them as more than that. And when you recognize that soul for the eternal soul that they are, that's their divinity, that's their God essence. And when you recognize it, it's really like recognizing yourself. Right? Because we are all, this is probably going to get too deep if I go here, but I always go back to oneness, because we are all the same essence. We are all source, just experiencing itself through separation of these individuals. So when you recognize God, divinity, source essence in someone, in their soul, it's actually your own divinity being reflected back to you. Anyway, I think that that's a huge part of true love. So keep your eyes open, stay open to what comes along on your path when you know you are in alignment and doing the healing and doing the work and walking the steps towards your highest timeline and you're in growth. Then just stay open, drop the expectations and the labels, and don't close yourself off because of some human label or term that it just exists here on Earth. It's not a universal label. Twin flame is not, it's not a label that they're using in other dimensions. I mean, it's definitely not something that the Pleiadians agree with. They specifically said that is a human term and a human label for people to try to understand something that is much bigger than that. So we have to drop the labels and the identities and the ego part of things, because that creeps into the spiritual community so easily, and it gives people, they grasp onto things like that because it gives them an identity or gives them security or safety. That's not it. Identities, labels, names, terms, it's limiting. It's all boxing you in. You don't need it to feel safe. All you need is yourself and to be open to what life puts in your path. So instead of being disappointed that maybe twin flames aren't like a universal thing, be excited. Because remember, true love is where it's at. That's the real deal. And drop all of those other terms and labels. Real, true, authentic love is possible for every single soul in every single incarnation. It was possible for you if you were on the path to your highest self, which includes that beautiful self-love, compassion for yourself, forgiveness for yourself, growth, and then walking that path of service and following your passions in your heart. When you align to that, you will find it. So I hope that you enjoyed this video and that it made things hopefully less confusing, though I know that it's still a really intricate subject matter. So please drop your comments and questions in the comment section down below so that I can check them out and see where you're at with this and see what you feel, where your understanding is at, what your experiences have been. And remember that if you want to work with me to uncover any of your parallel lifetimes or receive these kinds of messages from your guides, that I have a lot of different services that I offer. If you're looking for, to get to know your guides, receive these kinds of messages, check out the Meet Your Guides reading. It's really powerful and beautiful. All of these links are in the description box below. So thank you so much again for joining me. Please remember to like this video, share it, and subscribe. But before you go, please remember, listen to your heart and the quiet voice within, because you are so much more than the body you are in. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful day. Bye.